Just keep them like that. Go put them in the grass over there.
Oh gosh, Terry.
This is why I'm not moving to Missouri. As you can see, we made it back safe and sound from Missouri. It's always nice to see family when you don't get to see them, but once every few years. So it was a good time. The one thing is, wow, there's a lot of snakes in Missouri. And between rat snakes and water snakes and gosh, I mean, I think we saw 5 snakes in the yard just in one afternoon. But anyway, so now we're headed down to Duluth because this morning, Riverdog and I are and help my son Hunter move. We just got the van all unloaded and all the gear stowed because we are going to be moving him from one apartment into another apartment. So we're gonna meet him at his place and get him all settled in. It's always nice to have a van like this when it comes to moving beds and furniture and things like that. This van has been around a little bit. We're going to check the game cams, and as you can see, the pond is all dried up. It's still pretty muddy though. I'm kind of sinking in, but yeah, I didn't do any favors with those ruts when I drove the four-wheeler through here again. Probably have to figure out a solution for that, but at least they're not breeding mosquitoes. So somebody asked about the RV pump that I mentioned last video, and they wanted to kind of see how I was going to install it. The wires that I ran underneath the sink don't have power for some reason, so I'm gonna have to take the outlet apart and see if one of the connections is loose. In the meantime though, I have a small battery that I use in my ice fishing Vexlar, and I'm going to use that in the meantime to power the pump just to make sure that the system is actually working. But I thought I'd give you guys a look since I had it out of the countertop. So I'll just start with the pump. All this is a RV/marine pump. And the reason I picked this one out is I don't know a lot about it. The requirements that I needed was A, it has to be able to self-prime, and B, it has to be able to operate when I turn on the faucet. Anyway, the reason I picked this particular one is it was Amazon's best seller, and the price was around 65 bucks, I think. You could have found them cheaper, you could have found them more expensive, but this one was the best seller and had good reviews, so that's why I went with it. In fact, I'll put a link down below in the description so that if you want to take a look at this pump or the other ones, you at least have a place to start. This does have the ability to run dry, and there is a pressure switch in here that senses when, apparently that it must build pressure in here, and when the faucet's opened, it releases pressure and causes the pump to come on. I think that's how it works. So I just attached some clear tubing, and this will go into my water source, which is going to be eventually a 5-gallon bucket of water, and it goes through a strainer and right to the faucet. Now on my particular faucet, I have a hot and a cold inlet. Well, obviously I only have one inlet hose or one source hose, so I just went ahead and put a cap on the opposite one just in case there was a potential for water to backfeed. I didn't want this leaking, so I just decided to cap that off. But all right, I'm gonna thread tape this up and connect it, and we're gonna go from there. Well, this little PVC stopper that I had tried, I could just not get it tightened down enough for it not to leak. So I just wasted another trip into town, and we are going to try this check valve, and that should, in theory, stop any water from coming out of this extra inlet. Put some alligator clips on these ends just to make, if I have to recharge this battery, then it'll be easier taking them in and out. Okay, so the pump should be filling here. Oh shoot, we're still leaking. Still leaking. Doggone it. All right, I believe that we finally got it. And what we needed to do, the problem with the faucet fitting is they have these square, like they're half round and half flat. And so you really needed the compression, the rubber disc in there, apparently, which we did not have in this check valve alone. So no matter how tight I got it, water was still slipping by the flat edge of the nut. So we went with the check valve on the backside of here, and hopefully this will answer our. Hopefully this will solve our problem. All right, no leaks out of the check valve and no leaks out of the valve. So we now will have running water. Yay! All right. Okay, it appears that we got our leak fixed and taken care of. So I just applied power to the battery and the pump turned on. It must have filled the pump and then it quit, so I'm assuming the pump is full. Here's my system right there. All right. Cross your fingers. And for the grand reveal. Yay, look at that. Woo! That's going to be a nice addition to the tiny cabin. Very nice. So I haven't started this mower since last season, and I know there's not going to be gas in it, but I should probably check the oil as well, right? And that'd be a wise thing to do. Whew. Skeets are around, that's for sure. That oil looks pretty dark too. I should probably change it, but my main concern tonight is will it start, and just to knock down a couple of these weeds quick. I usually try to change it once a season. So we're due one way or the other, but my big question is, will it start? I think we got this mower in 1992? Yeah. Well, the spark doesn't sound great, but may have to do a spark plug, but we'll make sure she's got some gas. So another way to help control mosquitoes, at least for the evening or the day, is to make a smudge fire. And one of my commenters mentioned, like, hey Terry, why are you getting rid of all that punky wood when you could be burning it for your smudge fires to help with the mosquitoes? So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to make a little smudge fire. And the problem is, a lot of times in the summer there's no wind here, just because it's so protected from all the trees. And so you don't get a lot of breeze to like spread the smoke around. It just kind of goes straight up. And if you make a really hot fire, you create like an air updraft as well. So sometimes a low and slow fire is a little bit better than like an intense hot fire. But we're just gonna get something going here and we're gonna start this out. Well, let's get that fire going. I definitely can tell the mosquitoes are starting to come out. It's getting to be that time of night, so we're gonna get this birch bark. And then, you know, the other nice thing about birch bark is extremely flammable, but it also puts out a really nice black smoke. So we're gonna start our fire with that tonight. That's smoky. Well, good morning. My visitor has left, so it is just me and the old RD, and you, of course. We're going to get going right away this morning. It's about 8 o'clock, and I want to start clearing some of the brush out of that garden spot. And, of course, we need to start chopping some wood this morning, because that needs to go before we can chop down that other oak, before we can start the summer kitchen. So I've been going back and forth on the summer kitchen, and I saw an Amish example of an idea that I really liked that would match the cabin. Initially, I was going to do it out of all logs that I have on the land here and make it free, but I want it to look nice. And you know, when I look at my wood sheds over there, I mean, they're fine, but they just look, you know, homemade out of logs, and they're crooked and sagging, and I kind of want the summer kitchen to be nice. So that's been my dilemma as of late. Is I have the basic design in my head. It's just, what materials do I want to use? Do I want to do it free, or do I want to pay for the materials to build it? Which a lot of it would be Amish rough sawn, so it would be cheaper wood than normal, but I don't know. First things first, this weekend is Memorial Weekend, so we're getting to the point where if we do want to plant anything else up here, we need to get it in the next week or two, or it's not going to be a long enough season. So, all right, let's do it, huh? Grab your work gloves. I'll grab the clippers and the saw. Oh, we got a sharper chainsaw too. And let's get after it. Mosquitoes are a little ferocious this morning. Bought one of those thermocells when I went into town yesterday. And I had 2 people in the store who saw me buying it comment about how great they thought they were. And I'd heard that in the past, but I didn't really want to spend the money for one, and they're on sale for like $22 for a patio version that was supposed to protect like 15 feet, so I picked it up. All right, there's number 1. I had somebody ask me this week what I use for sharpening my saw chains, and I use this multi-tool made by Steel. And there's a Chinese knockoff that is sold on Amazon as well. And if you don't want to pay for the Steel one. But the concept of it I find to be pretty solid, just because you not only have your files for your saw teeth, but you also have your raker file as well. Anyway, so that's what I use. That's what I've been happy with. I'll put a link down below in case anybody else is interested. I just got done sharpening the saws, and now I had to make a survival fire. It's not to signal passing planes. It's to keep the mosquitoes down before I bleed to death. Whew, they're bad today. All right, back to work. Well, it'll make good smoky fire, at least. Well, I think that's enough for now. You probably can't tell, but I would guess I've done at least a third of that pile that was there. Filling up the woodshed. Yesterday I went and got a new gas cap for this, and over the winter I ordered a new PTO toggle so I could operate the mower deck. So I always have to do it this way. How did I start this? I always jumped it. Oh, there we go. Now let's see if the mower works. they say, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So we are going to mix it up a little bit today, and it's a beautiful day. We are going to go for a bike ride. Well, when I say we, actually the old RD, he's going to take a little break and have a little treat in the cabin and take a little nap. And I'm going to take my mountain bike out down one of the local forest roads. Good run so far. I just looked at my watch. We're 25 miles in. Wait a minute. 2.5 miles in. And we're headed back. 2.5 back. Downhill. We're gonna fly. Put your wings on. Well, I thought I'd pull over and show you guys this. These are lady slipper flowers. And the Minnesota State flower is the showy lady slipper, which is the pink and white version of these ones. But if you look, they're called the lady slippers because they look like a little Indian moccasins. If I remember right, it's a version of a woodland orchid. So they're pretty special plants, and you don't see them all the time. I wouldn't say they're rare, but they're not super common. But if you look like all over the woods here, there's a nice little patch of them. And there's some more back here. These are some brats that I made myself. Bought a pork butt shoulder and ground it down and added wild rice and some cheddar and some jalapeno. So I am interested to see how these will come out. Good morning. Figured I'd split some of this wood this morning. I'm in this weird spot where, so I brought my big saw in to get looked at yesterday, and I was having trouble with my small saw as well, which I'm sure it's just dirty carbs. But so I thought I could do the small one myself, and I started taking it apart, and I'm not even sure how to get to the carb on this one, so I may end up taking that one in too. So needless to say, I have two saws. Neither of them are running right now, which has really messed with my plans of getting stuff done. My priority this week was to get that garden area cleared once and for all. But of course, I'm stymied there because without the saws, I can't cut the trees down I need to cut and get them out of there in order to get cleared to put the beds in. So that's kind of stuck me for now. And the other project is cutting down this big oak and getting stuff ready for the summer kitchen. But of course, A, I can't cut down this oak without a saw, and B, I don't want to cut it down before I have this all chopped up and moved. So unfortunately, I'm not able to do the things I wanted to do, but there's always something to do, so I might as well get on this. Mosquitoes are horrible, horrible. I just took my long sleeve off because I was getting so hot, but they are just, I wish you could see, they're just swarming me. even with spray on, I have a smudge fire going. You know, I put those mosquito deterrent tubes up, which I don't know if they're doing any good or not. They could be, they might not be, I don't know. As soon as I stop moving, I get ate alive, so time to keep working on this pile. You know, every time I chop wood, someone says, hey, you should try the tire method, and that way you don't have to keep picking up your pieces of wood. And that probably would work pretty well, but honestly, I just hate the look of used tires laying around. And it's just one more piece of garbage that would be laying around the yard, looking like an eyesore. So I just have to keep bending over and picking them up. It's just the way it is. Sure would be nice if I had a chainsaw that worked so I could cut this tree down and actually make some real progress on this little project, but unfortunately, I don't have a choice. There's a root there. Tell you right now, that's crooked. She is a crooked. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, not too bad there. I actually think I should have put more fill in here. Yeah, these are a little bit woodier than the ones I picked earlier in the year. These were kind of a last hurrah for this species. Normally I wouldn't trim these ends off because the thin ends are actually some of the best parts on a pheasant back, but because they got frozen, they're not quite choice anymore, so we're gonna just get rid of some of those edges and the main stem. And River is at my feet, freaking out, panting and nervous about the storm. You're a good boy though. Yes, you are. So in the oyster that I got today, when I was picking spruce tips, this is just your typical spring oyster mushroom. And I won't get into identification in this video, of course, but these ones did have some oyster beetles, which we got rid of and evicted, but these should be a good addition. These are nice, clean, not strongly flavored wild mushrooms. In fact, you buy these a lot in the store as well. The rain is coming down so nicely. We desperately needed that. We're going simple with the steaks. A little bit of fresh cracked ground pepper, and a fair amount of salt. I think we're gonna hit it with a little Mrs. Dash on the, at least on one side, and one for the customer, one for the cook. What? You goofer? You good river dog. Well, that was a pretty good dinner. I think both River and I got our fill. And now it's such a nice night. It looks like the storm has passed. The rain is done. Birds are singing. And it just has that cool after the rain feel. So it was like 86 today. So it was really kind of warm. And to have that rain come through and cool the temperatures down a little bit, it feels really good right now. Tonight I'm going to download the video I've made over the past few days and try to get it into some sort of timeline and work on that, so hopefully I can put that out for you guys next week. It's about 7:30 now. It'll probably be dark in about another 2 hours. So I think at this point we'll catch you guys in the morning. Goodbye, tiny cabin. We will see you very soon. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate you hanging out with old River Dog and I this week. So we will see you soon.